I guess it's time to get into our topic of conversation today. A little Worlds Beyond Number. This was episode 48, The Battle of 12 Brooks, part 2, the conclusion of the battle, as far as we know. And what we always like to do is do a little recap before we dive into the episode content. So if you're watching just the recap, we do clip that out as a separate video. And you can click the link down below to get our full thoughts on the episode. And having said that, let's dive right in. This episode opens up with where we left Suvi after seeing Steel literally wipe out House Rounza, and Brennan asking Suvi, what do you do? We open up with essentially a monologue from Aabria, just really like realizing the magnitude of what she's involved in and what's kind of brought her here. And, we're continuing to see Suvi kind of untether herself to the Citadel. And she has like this rope ladder, for lack of a better description, I guess, and does ultimately, in fact, choose to climb that ladder and continue after Ame and Ursulon. The three of them do reunite and find themselves deep within the not citadel castle that's been part of 12 Brooks. And notably, they are hearing less of the sounds of battle outside, and it kind of sounds like things are subsiding a little bit. And separately, they do eventually, as they're traveling through, I think it's either Ame or Suvi who realizes that a particular wall is magical, that it's fake. And I can't remember if if it was detect magic or what it was exactly that they did to figure that out, but realized essentially there was a fake wall. Also, they realized that behind that wall, there is, in fact, the prison or the makeshift prison for the Greneau children. Not only that, but they realize that there are soldiers who are sort of shell shocked and like realizing there's a huge battle going on outside. Citadel soldiers, or I think maybe Azure Battalion, and they're talking about what to do with the kids and like really like, what are we doing here? Like, what's going on? We also get a great dialogue from Brennan on basically describing that this here is a trap. The party thought it was a trap for them, and Brennan reveals that this is actually not a trap for you, and confirms this was a trap for the Great Bullfrog. The Great Bullfrog that Brennan has now repeatedly described as being gone and destroyed. Even when as far as to mention like the ramparts of the castle that typically would have had bullfrogs croaking at that are now silent, all of the wildlife being gone, and gives this cold line about now that the Great Bullfrog is gone, the Greneau children, which were the cheese laid for the mouse, what happens to them? Well, what happens to them is what always happens to cheese after the mouse is caught. And it's around this point that the party hears these soldiers basically deciding we got to just get out of here. And then hears a particular soldier say, yep, let's kill the kids. And then Will, do you want to take it from there?
Yeah. So basically, as soon as I think, how were they actually, was it through task?
I don't know, actually. It was also 2 weeks ago. So,
Yeah. So somehow,
but yeah.
somehow our cast of characters overhears this. And so as soon as Ursulon hears that they say those kids are about to get killed, he just lets out this like guttural scream and just bursts through this wall, like toward where these kids are being kept. And it's at like the bottom of like a well isn't the right word, but like a basin. And so he just drops down, actually takes some fall damage, I think, from this, and then immediately these 5 guards that were there just unleash like readied actions on Ursulon. Thankfully, only one hits him, but it is a crit. And so that all happens kind of instantaneously. Ame uses her action to just like yell at these guards, like, just get out of here, because they were already conflicted about what they were doing here. So she's trying to like capitalize and be like, y'all just get on out of here. And so
Envision her, get out of here, get out of here,
get
just
out
like
of here.
scooting them
She
off.
actually, Brennan has a roll of persuasion check on that, and she rolls pretty high. Then Ursulon goes invisible and then decapitates the guy that crit him and just one shot KOs him. I'm pretty sure he like uses divine smite, even though Brennan tells him like, "Hey, you don't even need to use that. These guys don't have that much HP." And Ursulon's like, "No, like I'm still doing it." So he just decapitates one dude and then instantly kills another guy with his second attack. So two of them just drop, and then based on Ame's high persuasion roll previously, the other three do indeed just run away. Um, Ursulon then inspects this cage that the children are being kept in, and basically, kind of through his power, I guess, for lack of a better word, as this like newly crowned spirit of freedom, basically like shatters the lock, and the spell, Brennan describes the spell that was holding it, flees in terror from the spirit of freedom. So the kids are released from their cages, and Suvi actually takes off after the Azure battalion members that fled, realizing that like it's not good that they might go out and alert everyone else to their presence here. So Suvi takes after the people that fled, and Ame and Ursulon try to get these kids out of here, with their plan being to hopefully use Ame's magical doorknobs, to get them back to Grandmother Wren's cottage, or Ame's cottage, I guess now. So they take off to do that, and basically they are immediately met with this heron spirit that shows up and is like, I just felt the presence of a spirit here come to free the children of the Greneau. Like, how can I help? And he introduces himself as Kahar. And they're like, we just need to find a door. Do you know the way? And he's like, yes, like follow me. And so they're making their way through, like trying to find some door to use this item on, when Ame just kind of gets like a weird feeling about this guy, and thinks it's all a little too convenient that he miraculously showed up right when the children were freed. And so she remembers that Ursulon has this coin that you can flip. And I don't know, I might be saying this the wrong way, but like if you're a human, it'll always be heads. If you're a spirit, it'll always be tails. So they're like, well, which way do we go? And he's like, well, let's flip a coin. And so Ame gives this spirit a coin, and it's revealed that he's actually a human. He's not a spirit. And so she instantly casts sleep on him, as this was all just part of like a trap set by the Citadel in case the children got out, I guess. So they put him to sleep, and then they quickly keep searching and do find a door to put these doorknobs on. And they usher the children through, give Neef the very quick lowdown on what's going on. And then they're like, okay, well, now I got to go figure out what's going on with Suvi. So meanwhile, we check in with Suvi, who's been chasing these people, and she actually gets kind of jumped by Sworn, who's like, immediately basically manacles her and magically seals her mouth. And it's just like, why? Like, why did you do this? And Suvi, as she's getting caught, does manage to send Task like stealthily away from her to go like fill in Ame and Ursulon on what's going on. So they know that Suvi has been captured, and they're like, what do we do? Ultimately, Suvi wants them to just leave, because she's like, they're coming for you. Like, I'm a trap. Like, just get out of here. And so Ursulon is like, yeah, there's nothing we can do right now, Ame. But Ame's like, no, like I promised her, like I wouldn't leave her behind. Like there must be something we can do. And Brennan says, okay, Ame, roll an insight check. And she rolls a nat 20. And Brennan starts like freaking out. He's like, oh my gosh, okay, well, here's what's happening. So he basically describes, that Ame, as the witch of the world's heart, is this connection between the two worlds. And she realizes that Ursulon has his mission, and that was to save the children. And yes, they've currently escaped this hellscape, but they're not saved yet. They're just, in Toma. And so she realizes that Ursulon must continue to go with the kids. Like he has his mission. He needs to get them home safe. So she says, hey, Ursulon, you go, but like I'm staying. I gotta go help Suvi. And so Ursulon walks through the door as well, and then Ame basically breaks off the doorknobs to take them back with her, and to protect the kids in Ursulon so that nobody could follow them. And she decides that she's going to take off and try to figure out something to help Suvi. We then cut back to Suvi, who has now been approached by Steel, as Suvi's been kind of like drug up to the ramparts of this castle, and she's now met with Steel, who's come up here. And Steel basically walks up to her and embraces her and whispers to her, like, hey, just like stand tall, put a smile on your face, understand? And Suvi nods. And then Steel basically says, like, 3 cheers for the wizard Sky, whom this victory today, like, would not have been possible without. And everyone starts, like cheering, and Suvi rolls an insight check, trying to figure out, like, if these people are buying this story, basically. And Silver's there, and she knows that, Silver knows what Suvi told her, so he's going to be suspicious. Sworn is kind of, trying to piece it together, and he can see that Steel kind of has like a worried smile on her face. So we then cut back to Ame, who is racing towards Suvi and kind of ducks into this kitchen area because the wizard Slate, I think, that might be messing up my S names here, but the wizard Slate had been sent after Ame and Ursulon and is looking for them. And so Ame basically ducks into this kitchen when the wizard Slate comes in too, and is like, oh, Ame, great to see you again, and has like a counter spell at the ready. But Ame grabs a broom from this kitchen and basically bursts out the window and starts to fly it, like, having now unlocked her witchy ability to fly on brooms, and basically now chases after Steel's ship, which Suvi has been brought aboard. And in this moment, she levels up to level 5. And that is where the episode ends. Once again, episode 48, The Battle of 12 Brooks, Part 2. So again, be sure to check out our full discussion if you are just on the recap, which will be linked down below.